Welcome to this series of 3 minigame tutorials for Skull Tales Full Sail. In this first tutorial, we're going to see how to play the cruise phase. But before that, I would like to tell you about the structure of Skull Tales Full Sail in regards to the phases, campaigns, etc. Skull Tales includes several campaigns, which in turn are divided into chapters. In each chapter, a cruise phase is going to be played first, then an adventure phase, and finally a port phase. So in this series of tutorials, we will explain the cruise phase in this video, the adventure phase with a second video, and a third video with the port phase. In the cruise phase, the components that we're going to use are the 4 map tiles by their seasides, objective tokens that will be given by the chapter manual, the cruise board, which will make the cruise ship simulator, the enemy's tokens or the miniatures if you acquire the add-on, the enemy sheets, the cruise events deck, a set of dice to take the rolls, and the face-down hidden goods tokens to be drawn at random as booty when boarding. The cruise phase is divided into 4 rounds: the Voyage Round, the Player Round, the Enemy Round, and the Event Round. Before explaining the different rounds, we're going to take a closer look at the cruise board, the ship simulator. This board has a track consisting of 2 parts. On one side the pirate flag, and on the other the tokens of the players involved in the game. There are also plenty of different locations on the board. We'll start with the track. It tracks 2 different values. On the one hand, the morale of the crew, and on the other, the trust level of each character, represented on the track by the pirate flag and the player tokens respectively. The pirate flag indicates the morale of the crew. If at any time the morale reaches 0, the players would lose the cruise phase and will be abandoned on a deserted island by the rest of the crew, the pirate groups. Also, when the player characters take certain actions, they earn points of trust, so they will advance their character tokens in the track. This is especially interesting because one of the most fun parts of the cruise phase is when one or more of the players exceed the pirate flag on the track, which could cause a riot in the boat. This area here are locations where you will place the player characters and pirate groups that accompany them, such as the main cover, the gunwale, from where characters would move into the specific board in case of a boarding, the artillery posts, the platform, infirmary, the rudder, and the bridge. The lower area represents the ship itself. In this section, you can see the sails that you can set in your boat, which increases your ability to move. This section represents your hold, where you can put rum, provisions, your cannons, fabrics, goods, prisoners you make, etc. In addition, the load in your hold will affect your movement. Finally, we have the clock marking the passing days. A day has 6 shifts, 2 of which are during the night, which particularly affects the spawning of enemies and when to feed your crew. Now that we've seen the different sections of the boat, we return to the 4 rounds of the cruise phase, which are Voyage Round, Player Round, Enemy Round, and Event Round. These are the steps to take during the Voyage Round. First, look at the level of clogging of the boat. There is a meter of dirt in the boat, which increases with the passing shifts. If at any time the ship reaches a certain level of dirt, the crew starts being uncomfortable in the boat and losing morale. The next thing to check are the pirate groups. The pirates are people that you have recruited in other phases. You will start with a certain number of them in your ship during the cruise phase, and they will help you with the work of the boat. But they will get tired as they take their actions. If a pirate group becomes exhausted, they would remain where they are. To recover them and get them back to work, the captain has to assign them to the staterooms. At this stage of the round, the clock also progresses, making the time pass. During the player round, the players will use their miniatures and place them in the different parts of the boat. But you must pay attention, because not all the characters can be placed in all locations. For example, If you want to place the cabin boy on the main deck of the ship, there is only one position available for a pirate player. There is room for 2 pirate groups, but only for 1 player. For example, in the platform, there can only be 1 pirate player. With that in mind, we're going to place the Hit Woman in the command post and the Avenger at the helm. The captain will be in charge of determining the initiative on the first round. From there on, the initiative order will be determined by each player's trust level. In the case of a tie between 2 characters, the captain will decide who takes their action first. On the deck, you will be able to move goods in the hold, aid people in the infirmary, or you can clean dirt to avoid losing morale. Performing this action gives the character 1 trust point. In the gunwale, you will stay alert and prepared for possible boarding actions. So if you think that an enemy is at boarding distance, you can jump in the gunwale to prepare for it. In the artillery positions, you can place up to 2 characters or groups of pirates to shoot the cannons of the ship. Mapping. In this position, you can try to take a mapping action. With this action, you will be able to look at hidden objectives on the map, regardless of the distance to your boat. You roll the dice, and if you get 3 successes, you can reveal the objective and check if it is the one you are looking for or not. In the platform, sightings can be done. If the ship is at sighting distance, you may reveal an objective. This action also serves to see when the enemies are about to attack and to try to increase or reduce their radius. The rudder is indispensable for the boat to move. The pirate groups and characters placed in the sails determine the number of dice that are rolled for that movement. As we can see in the image, right now there is a player at the helm and 2 pirate groups in the sails, so 2 dice are rolled. The results on the dice must exceed the number 4. Let's imagine that we roll a 5 and a 6, so that the boat will be able to move 2 spaces, or could turn 1 position and move 1 space. The movement of the boat is decided by the captain, who chooses where the boat will head to. In the cabin, you can take intrigue actions, such as robbing the crew's booty, ranting against the captain, folding provisions or rum to recover life points or destiny points. Once the player round ends, the enemy round begins. During this round, the enemies are going to move, and to the extent of their possibilities, they're going to try to approach our boat, in some cases, and you will have to fight against them, if necessary. In this round, ships and creatures of the depths will appear and will attack you. The enemies in this round can be aggressive enemies, neutral enemies, or passive enemies. This will affect their behavior towards our boat. For example, an aggressive enemy, such as the Coast Guard, is going to try approaching us. We are pirates, we are in their coasts, and that cannot be allowed. A neutral character may be, for example, a whale. If the players do not attack the whale, it will not attack the players. Finally, a passive enemy like a merchant galleon, for example, will normally try to flee our pirate ship. If a merchant galleon meets our pirate ship, the galleon will always attempt to flee. There's also a need to elaborate on the area of effect. When you enter the area of effect of an enemy, which is 5 spaces, that enemy behaves differently. Of course, there may be boarding attempts, either because the enemy ship arrives in your space, or on the contrary, it is your ship that arrives in the same space as an enemy. You can do this because you want to board a merchant galleon, fight a coast guard, etc. When someone attempts a boarding, take the specific board out and play on it. During boarding, you can jump, cut the ropes to try to flee, and many other things. A boarding may end in success or failure, or you may simply flee, losing the corresponding morale points. The goal in the cruise phase is to find the right objective on the map, either the one for the chapter mission or that of a hidden goal. To end the cruise phase, play the event round. Draw an event card from the event deck, read the text to see what happens, and interact with that event. These 4 rounds are repeated until you get to successfully carry out the mission of the chapter, or until the ship's morale marker reaches 0. And this would be the cruise phase.